Welcome everybody. So my name is Vael, and when I was asked for this first DataBeers event in Brussels, I thought, well, a good title would be this one, and I didn't invent it. It's from Bruce Schneier. Bruce is one of the most famous cyber security experts. He's called a guru in cybersecurity. He went, I think, this week on the National Congress in the US to talk about what we have to do. And the book is quite good. He has written a number of them, but this is a really good one. So if you're interested, you can read through it. My thing is about data security and data protection. And we all know that our lives are really linked, not only professionally, but also socially. And government has a lot of data. And basically, we're living in an ecosystem whereby data is everywhere. And we have to be worried, or we are concerned with how this data is properly protected. And so in that sense, we came from the day where this is the Mundaneum in Mons, where you have the first Google physically on paper. You can still visit that one, by the way. It was a Belgian who basically invented Google before Google even existed. But it's true that one of the fundamental changes that we have is that we have a 24/7 society, by which everybody has access to digital data. We have our own data, but we share a lot of data with other people who have access as well, themselves. And also, different companies, agencies, governments have access to that data. They use that to do nice things, they sometimes use it to do bad things. In that sense that even nowadays, we have to teach our children a different alphabet, because where we use cow for C, now we use Chrome for C. We use W for WhatsApp, etc. It's kind of fascinating. And it's amazing that even before they can read or write, they already know how some of these tools actually work. But because they're really well crafted. The ergonomics of these tools is fascinating. Nobody followed the training to learn Facebook, and still we use that. But if you use SharePoint, you have to follow a 2-day course, which is weird. But the espionage is not new. We all know George Orwell, who wrote in 1948 his famous novel 1984. Right? But also in the 60s, people were like, afraid of privacy. So this is not a new thing. This is something that has been there all around. It's just that the massiveness of the digital data makes our a little bit more concerned, because we also share more. And my point is that George was wrong. He was wrong because he never thought that we ourselves would be the ones who would be sharing this information with everybody. Which is kind of strange. He never thought of that. And so the point is that we share a lot. And we have to be careful what we do, because before you know it, this is the new algorithm. Yeah? We post too much information sometimes without worrying about what will happen later on. And the internet is unforgiving. It's staying there. We have Google Archives. We have this data. Maybe it's not for the normal user available, but we have to watch about that. And yeah, we share a lot, I admit. It's the new world, ladies and gentlemen, where we live in. And these guys do a lot of work in making sure that some data becomes open data, even though it was protected data. And even LinkedIn, who is now pulled by Microsoft, had a small problem with 4.7 million user password. And there was an artist who posted all these passwords in 8 volumes, which you can check. So you can check if your password is in those 8 volumes, which is kind of absurd. It's art, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely digital art, the old-fashioned way. We have to be careful about how we treat data. And yes, since Snowden revelations, we all know that what we thought might happen, even in movies, actually really happened. And it's kind of fascinating that sometimes we have to be careful. We have to be really careful, and maybe too much information is not good. Yeah? So we have people selling this stuff, and this is happening on dark webs. People actually sell this stuff. Commercial companies, private companies, but also on the internet to do nasty things with it. So how to prevent it? Now, I want to set the scene, because sometimes people make mistakes, and people do stupid things. They put the code next to the thing, I blocked it out. People leave their materials just for the taking. Or, the dead drop, that system whereby people put in USB keys and you could share information through a wall with anybody you liked. really interesting concepts, but sometimes a bit creepy. Yeah? And this is a picture I've taken on a train. You see people leaving and they go to the toilet and leave their stuff. No screensaver, by the way. People are sometimes acting a little bit silly or a little bit naive. And we have to be careful. And sometimes we think this is how data centers look. Well, let me show you what I see. I see cupboards. If you open it in the evening, they're full with material. You can just take it. Or if you go to data centers, and I really invite you, you find these things, which is not really how it's presented in the media, right? And I really invite you to go and visit those data centers and see for yourself if it's disciplined or not. Things like this, old material that's still live when you take it, with lots of data on it, not cleaned. You know, and that leads me to some solution where people think, oh, I have one solution, and that makes me safe. I have a firewall, I have an antivirus, so I'm safe. You have other people who are really paranoid, despite being paranoid, and they think, I have so many things, so I'm really protected. Neither of them are right. We have to be really careful how to balance, because this doesn't work, right? If you have to take your bike in 5 minutes, that won't work. This, well, won't work either because you don't have any wheels anymore. And the human is important because people write code, they implement code, they configure code, so we have to think about how weaknesses happen. And this is just a slide of how people unintendedly or intently make mistakes. And it's a good overview, and this is from the 90s, and it's still active. It's still valid. So when you see like, okay, how people design security in data, and how developers do this, I actually said, okay, this is a security design, and this is how the people actually implemented it. And you would be amazed how sometimes security is forgotten in the final product. It's not thought through by design. On top of that, we lack a lot of skills, and I'm here at the university, by which I can say that we still have to form a lot of people. We have to educate a lot of people. 1 million of those people we have to look for. So, on top of that, since you see every week, every day in the news, some breach, some data security breach, people get bored with it. They say, oh, forget it. I don't want to hear about it anymore because it's too boring, it's too negative. So people get security fatigue. This is, by the way, NIST, which is the National Institute of Standards and Technology in the US, who said we have to be careful not to overhype the problems with security because people don't want to know about it anymore. So, and then linked to DataBeers, the infobesity, people get overwhelmed with data. I mean, who throws away emails? Will soon be the 1st of January. Who kills all the emails from 2013 and before? No one. We keep it. Because you never know you might use it again. So it is kind of fascinating how to behave that. Now, what is the solution? Well, the change equation. And the change equation is 5 elements. You have to need some kind of strategy. You need skilled people. You need some incentives to push them in the right direction. You need some resources and some action plan. Then you really make changes in security by design, in data security by design. If not, you get either a false start or frustration or a gradual change or anxiety or confusion because you're missing one of the 5 elements. Now, we're here to talk about data security, and sometimes we believe, and I'm amazed that people really believe that the data sitting in data centers or in repositories is real integer data, which is not always true. People really want to use that data, and they're using big data, but not always the correct big data. Some people have changed it, manipulated it. So how do we want to avoid that? Well, we have to anticipate, withstand, recover, but also evolve. And we often forget that we have to evolve into security. I was co-author of this one, the Belgian Cybersecurity Guide. It's a free guide. You can download that in Dutch, French, and English. But we talked about principles and about actions. The GDPR, you've heard about it, the new data regulation. For the first time, it's already active, by the way. The transition period is running, but since this year, it's active. Until May 2018, companies have a time to adjust to this new regulation. And it's kind of fascinating because one of them is the 4%. If companies really behave badly in terms of data protection, they might have an ultimate fine of 4% of their total global revenue. Not profit, revenue. Which is big deal. Now that's not all. My point is, and this is my main slide, data security by design has 3 principles. 1, it should be simple for users. 2, it should be usable. not restricting, and 3, it should be layered. Some things you don't need to see. You don't have to have a PhD in IT or security to protect your data. It should be simple, usable, but layered. There are other components, but I won't go into that. And another thing I really want, since we're here at university, I really want to make a deal for more women in IT and in data security. We really need more people, and I actually believe I have in my team, women in my team, who really help us think differently in terms of how to protect data, on how to think about risk analysis, which is kind of interesting, but we need more women in IT by default. A lot of people talk about the weakest link. As people, I disagree. People are actually an opportunity to protect data. If we're smarter, if we're aware of what we can do achieve more. But if we don't, what will happen is people will start lying. People will fill in the wrong information in sheets. So ultimately companies have a role to be honest, transparent about how they work with the data. Otherwise people will start cheating on data sharing with companies, which ultimately will lead to hilarious situations. So it's about balancing risks, and yes, there are risks, but there are many rewards in being transparent and being open about how companies, governments deal with our data. It's very essential to balance it, otherwise it goes wrong. And we don't have to look only at the past and look at, oh, nice things. The future is a bumpy road, definitely. But we can manage that. Now, if things go wrong, never laugh with other people. Never ever laugh with other people doing wrong things. Because before you know it, you might be in the same position and people might laugh with you. So try to take the lessons learned from people of what they've learned and implement those things with you yourself. And then finally, to close out this small video. Thank you.